Right now at 9. Hurricane Irma churning up trouble in the tropics.
I'm tracking the path of this Category 5 storm, taking aim at Florida.
Tonight, it's get out or get ready.
Pray for the best, but we prepare for the worst.
We have night team coverage of Hurricane Irma.
Tom Brady in the clear after an off-season controversy, but Roger Goodell is already taking heat before the season even starts.
Also, Massachusetts is one of 15 states sending a message to Washington over the president's Dreamers decision.
Take a look at this. God dang! Hey! God. A woman under arrest makes an off-the-cuff decision to get away.
And what a way to go out. Isaiah Thomas says goodbye to Boston in the classiest way possible.
It's all now from the night team.
7 News at 9 starts now, tonight at 9. A dire warning.
We're asking you to leave so you don't become a victim.
Remember, we can rebuild your home, but we cannot rebuild your life.
Over a growing threat.
Trying to board the place and get the hell out of here.
It's going to get really crazy.
With wild winds and dangerous downpours. Crashing the tropics. The night team is tracking Hurricane Irma.
Islands in the tropics are taken by storms. You can literally hear Hurricane Irma beating down on the island of St. Martin. One island in the Caribbean there dealing with a catastrophic strike. This is the aftermath in Barbuda. An official on the island says upwards of 90% of the buildings are destroyed, with several deaths, including an infant.
And right now, Irma is barreling through the tropics right toward Florida's east coast with winds at 185 miles per hour. Right now, the eye is 54 miles north of San Juan. The storm already impacting the islands as it rolls through. The U.S. Virgin Islands getting pummeled by whipping winds and rain already leaving a path of destruction as Irma storms west. And in Florida, people are left with two options tonight. Get out now or brace for impact as the storm threatens the southern part of the state. It's a mad dash for food and water. Stores having a hard time keeping up with the demand tonight as customers scramble to stock up. And Irma causing massive destruction as a Category 5 storm in the tropics.
And it's not losing much steam as it heads straight toward the U.S. From the latest track on Hurricane Irma to the impact on the islands and how people in Florida are getting ready, we have night team coverage starting with Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Reiner.
Well, you know, the amazing thing here is that it's maintained intensity since early yesterday morning. I mean, you know, we do see these hurricanes, they ramp up in intensity, but it's very difficult for them to maintain that intensity. But Irma continues to do that. This is where the meteorological wrecking ball is tonight, coming out of the Lesser Antilles, the Leeward Islands, moving just to the north of San Juan, Puerto Rico. If there's any good news to share tonight is that the eye wall, where you find those 185 mile per hour winds, well to the north of Puerto Rico, well to the north of San Juan. So thankfully, Puerto Rico was spared. It was not a devastating direct impact like it was on the islands earlier today, Barbuda as well as St. Martin. So that will continue on that west-northwesterly track. Also, you do notice a second ring. So the eye wall is the smaller ring, and then this outer ring here, that might be a second eye wall trying to replace the first eye wall. Sometimes with these super intense hurricanes, they do go through what we call an eye wall replacement cycle. And that replacement cycle, sometimes you can have a leveling off of the intensity or a slow weakening. So when the next 11 p.m. advisory is out, there may be a downward tick temporarily. But the tropical models are all confident that it moves just to the south of Florida over the weekend. And then from there, it looks like it will head up the east side of the Florida Peninsula. So winds 185 miles per hour moving west-northwest the next several days, maintaining that Category 5 intensity. And then from there, it does look like it's going to try to make landfall somewhere near Miami early in the day on Sunday as a Category 4 storm at winds at 145 miles per hour. From there, continuing to travel north up along the east coast and then making perhaps a second landfall in Georgia, South Carolina early next week.
Thank you, JR. And take a look at the damage left behind on the island of St. Martin. Hurricane Irma ripping through overnight and now trying to recover other islands in the tropics battered by the storm and left partially unlivable. The night team's Amaka Baca is here to break down the aftermath for us. Amaka.
Well, Jadian, Hurricane Irma slamming into the tropics, hitting the island of Barbuda particularly hard. The nation's prime minister speaking out just a short time ago saying the island is literally underwater and that nearly every building has been destroyed, leaving many homeless. The destruction of Hurricane Irma felt all over the Caribbean. Whipping winds tossing over cars and causing plenty of structural damage to buildings. 7 News spoke to a man who lives in Maho Beach in St. Martin.
There's no power or water. There's visible destruction everywhere.
Adam Shaw says there's no radio, no TV, communications completely down. At one point during the worst of the storm, he hid inside his bathroom.
The building is still violently swaying, like really bad turbulence. Our ears keep on popping.
These are pictures from the islands of St. Thomas and St. John showing just how dangerous the conditions are.
And you could hear the wind like screeching outside. You could hear trees getting knocked over.
It sounded like a freight train at some point.
Julian Bishop and his family live in St. Croix. He posted this tweet, which has since been shared thousands of times. They say there's a mandatory curfew until 6 p.m. tomorrow so the officials can survey all the damage.
So we did have strong winds, but I think we were spared, which we're grateful for.
Here's what Irma looks like from space.
I think we're under the eye.
Back in the Caribbean, people in Puerto Rico are preparing for the impact. Emergency crews in a hotel ballroom working to keep everyone safe. Much of the damage so far is in St. Thomas. A young woman from Columbus is holed up in her Ocean View hotel room, ordered not to go outside or she may face arrest.
This is like supposed to be the easy part. It's supposed to get real bad in about 2-3 hours. And I'm not gonna lie, this is already scary.
Hurricane Irma is now making its way to the British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. Officials in Puerto Rico say more than 600,000 people are already without power and another 50,000 are without water. In the newsroom, Amaka Ubaka, 7 News 19.
Some in Florida living in the path of danger have been asked to leave, and those staying behind, well, they're boarding up. They're used to hurricanes, but it's been years since a storm this big has threatened that state. The night team's Alex DePrado has more on the preps.
Tonight, Florida is in the hurricane strike zone. Evacuations have been ordered for cities along the coast, and time and supplies are running out. On Miami Beach tonight, water shelves are bare. The tourist hotspot is now under a mandatory evacuation. In the Keys, visitors and residents have also been ordered to leave. The 2-lane road out is jammed with cars heading north. This couple flew out.
I'm sad because I've been trying to get to Key West for years, but I'd rather be alive than, if it's dangerous, we have to go, but I'm upset about it. Across Florida, shutters are going up. Those who don't have them are using plywood if they can find it. And the governor is warning Hurricane Irma could be worse than Hurricane Andrew, which devastated the area 25 years ago.
I cannot stress this enough. Do not ignore evacuation orders. Remember, we can rebuild your home, but we cannot rebuild your life.
Boat owners, too, are taking vessels out of the strike zone, and those who stay are finding long lines for gas. And short supplies. Propane is running low, and water at some places like Costco is out.
I was in line, maybe 50 people deep, and then they said, we're out of water. And the funny thing is, I had called 15 minutes earlier, spoke to the manager, said, oh, we got water and gas, come on down. Even in Georgia, sandbagging is underway in communities along the water. South Carolina has issued a state of emergency.
Something is likely to happen, and we need to get prepared.
President Trump is promising aid from the federal government.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good.
Authorities in Florida say they are planning to shut down 2 nuclear power plants in the storm's path. Tonight, JetBlue also said it's reduced fares on remaining flights leaving Florida and the Caribbean to help people escape the storm. Live in the newsroom, I'm Alex DePrado, 7 News 19.
As Hurricane Irma barrels through the tropics, stay with 7 News for the latest track and live reports out of Florida right here on the news station on WHGH.com or download our mobile apps.